The pain in my ribs made every breath sharp and shallow as I sat at the Christmas dinner table, doing my best to look composed. Jessica caught my eye briefly, a silent warning passing between us before she turned back to the guests with a practiced smile. Across from me, David raised his wine glass, his expression bright but empty. "To Frank," he said loudly, making sure everyone heard. "Still tough as nails, even after that nasty fall down the cottage stairs." A few people chuckled. I smiled too, just enough to keep things smooth. Let him have his story. Because I hadn't fallen, and I knew exactly what he'd tried to do. My name is Frank Delaney. I'm 66 years old, retired from the NYPD after 34 years, with the last 12 spent working major crimes. I've seen what people are capable of when pressure builds, how quickly desperation can twist a person into something dangerous. I thought I'd left that world behind. After my wife Eleanor died of cancer 3 years ago, I expected life to slow down. I imagined quiet mornings, small routines, maybe learning how to exist without the constant weight of loss. Instead, everything narrowed to one thing: my daughter, Jessica. She became the center of my life in a way I hadn't expected. When she married David 5 years ago, I had concerns. He was ambitious, but it was the reckless kind. Big talk, bigger promises, always chasing the next deal. The kind of man who looked successful from the outside, but was always one step away from collapse. Still, Jessica loved him, so I said nothing. In early December, she called me. "Dad, we were thinking about going up to the lake house this weekend," she said. "Just the 3 of us. You haven't been there since Mom. I think it might help." I hesitated. That house wasn't just a place. It was memory layered on memory. Eleanor laughing on the deck, long summer evenings, the life we built together. I hadn't set foot there since we lost her. "I don't know, Jess," I said carefully. "David already had the heat turned on," she added quickly. "It'll be comfortable. Please, Dad." There was something in her voice that pushed me past my reluctance. "All right," I said, "this weekend." David picked me up Friday afternoon. Jessica wasn't with him. She got called into work, emergency shift. She'll come tomorrow. We drove in silence for a while, the kind that feels heavier the longer it stretches. Eventually, he broke it. "I've been working on a new project," he said. "Commercial development, big opportunity." I didn't respond right away. "I'm looking for investors," he continued. "Around 200,000. The returns could be 30–40%. That number alone told me everything I needed to know. "I'll think about it," I said. His reaction was subtle, but not invisible. His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the wheel harder than necessary. We arrived at the lake house after dark. The cold hit me immediately. There was no heat. Despite everything he'd said, the place was freezing, my breath visible in the air. I adjusted the thermostat, but nothing changed. "I'll grab some firewood," I said. "In a minute," he replied, already heading down the hall and closing a bedroom door behind him. I didn't wait. Outside, the night air was biting. I made my way to the shed, grabbed an armful of wood, and headed back towards the house. That's when I noticed the stairs. The second step from the top looked slightly off. I crouched and brushed away the thin layer of snow covering it. The wood beneath had been cut almost all the way through. Clean, deliberate, fresh sawdust clung to the edges. This hadn't happened by accident. I stepped over the damaged stair carefully and went back inside. "There's a problem with the steps," I said casually, watching him. "Second one's nearly cut through, could have gone right down." He didn't react the way he should have. "Oh yeah, that's dangerous. I'll take a look tomorrow." Too smooth, too quick. And then I saw it, a small twitch near his eye, a tell. He already knew. That night, I didn't sleep. Years of investigative work had trained me to recognize patterns, and this one was forming too clearly to ignore. The cold house, Jessica's absence, the pressure about money, the sabotaged stair. By morning, suspicion had hardened into certainty. Something was wrong. When David left to get supplies, I didn't waste time. The landline was the first thing I checked. Dead. The cord had been cut cleanly and tucked out of sight. Then I searched his bag. What I found confirmed everything. There were documents detailing massive debt, mortgages, casino cash advances, collection notices. The numbers were staggering. He was drowning financially. Then I found my life insurance policy. $500,000. The beneficiary had been changed from Jessica to David 6 months ago. I put everything back exactly as I found it. Then I went outside and took photos of the damaged stair. I checked the woodshed and found fresh pry marks on the door. He'd forced it open to get the saw. Every piece fit, every step planned. When David returned, I acted like nothing had changed. "I've been thinking about that investment," I said. "Tell me more." He launched into a polished explanation, confident and rehearsed. But when I pushed for real details, documents, locations, financials, his tone shifted. "You never liked me," he snapped. "You think you're better than me." "That's not what I—" "Don't lie," he cut in, stepping closer. "I need that money, and I'm not walking away without it." Then he said something that confirmed everything. "Jessica is not coming," he added. "I told her not to." I looked at him steadily. "So what's the plan?" I asked. "An accident?" He smiled. "Something like that." Then he pulled my medication from his pocket. That was enough. When he attacked, it was sudden and direct. Training kicked in, but I wasn't 30 anymore. I managed to deflect his first rush, sending him into the table, but he recovered fast. His fist drove into my ribs, and I felt something crack. Pain dropped me to the floor. His hands were on my throat before I could recover. This wasn't hesitation. This was intent. I forced myself to react. A knee to his groin bought me a second. I twisted free and staggered towards the bedroom, lungs burning, vision narrowing. I knew exactly where I was going. Eleanor's revolver was still in the nightstand, loaded. When he turned back with the gun, everything changed. He stopped. "Don't," he said, raising his hands. "Move," I told him. I kept the gun steady while I forced him into the living room, then secured him to a chair with tape. It wasn't perfect, but it held. The confidence drained out of him quickly after that. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said. "You planned it," I replied. "I was desperate, so you tried to kill me." He didn't argue. Jessica arrived later that night. She walked into a scene she never had to see. Me injured, David restrained, the truth sitting in plain view. I told her everything. I didn't soften it. I didn't leave anything out. When I finished, she turned to him. "Is it true?" she asked. He tried to justify it. She didn't accept it. We drove until we had phone service and called the police. They arrested him that night. The charges were serious: attempted murder, fraud, forgery. Jessica filed for divorce soon after. 3 weeks later, he sat across from me at Christmas dinner, acting like none of it had happened, like it could all be smoothed over. "Come on, Frank," he said. "Drop the charges. We're family." The room went quiet. I set my fork down slowly. "A misunderstanding?" I asked. He shrugged. "You can't prove anything." I pulled up my shirt, exposing the bruising still spread across my ribs. 3 cracked ribs, I said, documented. Then I leaned forward. "You didn't prove I was weak," I told him quietly. "You proved you were willing to kill and still failed." Jessica stood. "You need to leave," she said. He looked at her, expecting hesitation. There was none. "The divorce papers are being filed," she added. "You're done." No one stopped him when he walked out. "His trial is set for March. The evidence is strong. The prosecutor says he's looking at serious time." I sold the lake house not long after. Too many memories now, layered over each other in ways I couldn't separate.
The money went into a trust for Jessica to give her a fresh start. My ribs healed slowly, but they healed. Sometimes late at night, I still think about those moments on the floor, how close it came, how easily things could have ended differently. But I also think about Eleanor, about what she would have said. You survived. Now live. So that's what I'm doing, living, one careful breath at a time.